or the next country under the ASEAN. So we have the Vietnam. So in terms of this one, since for this country, we're going to explore different or three poems. Did you read or analyze that poem? Anyone kindly click first again the raise hand button if you read the three poems. Baka mamaya naman ay para pito na lang ulit ang nagbasa or nag-analyze at wala na akong matanong. So as of now, si Garcia lamang ang nagbasa at si Miss Umali. So silang dalawa lang ang pwede kong makausap later. How about the others? Parang hindi na ata talaga nagbabasa yung iba. Nung assign or nung binigay kong compilation ng literature, since ito naman ay last time kung pa sinabi kindly read yung mga literary works under nga ng Philippines as well as ng Vietnam. So in my screen, only 3 students out of, I think, 38. Is 39 tayo dito, including me. Okay, talagang 3 lang yung nagbasa ng poem. So, let's see. So, paano natin ma-analyze? Kasi more on analysis na lang yung naka-indicate dito. Kung kayo nga mismo hindi nyo din binasa yung literary works. And then, baka mamaya yun din sa magre-report or yung magre-present, hindi din binasa or nagkaroon man lang ng idea sa kung ano man yung assign dun sa mga next na presenters. Okay? So, in terms of this one, then we have the Vietnam. So before we explore those literary works under the Vietnam, so let's talk about first kung ano bang meron dito sa poetry. So last time, of course, we have the recall in terms of literature as well as ano ba yung mga forms, ano ba yung iba pang mga types of literature just like fiction, non-fiction, poetry, or poems as well as drama. Here, we are going to recall first ano ba yung types naman ng poetry. So I did not attach that anymore in my PowerPoint presentation, but I hope that you're going to listen and take down notes since baka mamaya meron siyang mapasama sa inyong examination. So in terms of the types of poetry, we have three. So ano ba yung three na yon? So the first one that we have is of course we have the lyric, narrative, as well as dramatic. So in terms of lyric, of course, those are poetry that expresses the emotions or thoughts and feelings of someone who wrote that poem. So from the word itself, lyric, meaning to say it is like a song like. Kumbaga pakanta siya, pero written again in poem. On the other hand, when we say narrative poetry, so from the term itself also narrative, meaning to say you are telling a story, but again in the form or in the format of poetry or poem. So here we have of course, the beginning, middle, as well as the end. Again, narrative siya, pero written siya in poem. And what else? We also have the descriptive poetry, and then for some reference, we have dramatic poetry. So in that one, from the term itself also, descriptive, of course, here it focuses on detailed descriptions of people, places, objects, or events. In terms of dramatic poetry, of course, those are poems that you're going to perform on stage. Meaning, there's also a live audience. So, parang kagaya lang nung na-mention ko last time in terms of drama. But again, meron lang siyang kadugtong na poetry. Therefore, gumagamit or written siya in poem. Okay? So, based also on the module that we have, so meron lang ilan na na-mention ng mga types ng or subtypes ng poetry. So, we have the first one is sonnet. Are you familiar with sonnet? Ha? This consists of how many lines? Anyone? This consists of how many lines? Kapag sinabi natin na sonnet, you may unmute your microphone if you want para medyo mas maging smooth din yung ating discussion. How many lines for sonnet? So yes, Garcia.
Excuse po, sonnet po ba?
Yes, sonnet.
14 lines po.
Okay, so of course, sonnet, we have or this composed of 14 lines. And one of the famous writer or author in terms of writing sonnet, of course, we have William Shakespeare. Okay? So ano pa bang meron dito? For a while lang, ano lang yung laptop. Okay. So aside from that, we have also haiku. How about haiku? Ano naman kapag sinabi nating haiku? Kung ang sonnet, this consists of 14 lines and yes, 14 lines. So sunod-sunod na lines. So 14. How about haiku? At saan natin na-discover or nakilala or sino ang nag-influence sa atin ng haiku? Yes, Briones.
Noong kapag po sa highway, 3 lines lang po.
Okay, of course, this consists only of 3 lines. And did you remember, Mr. Briones, the patterns that we need to the pattern that we need to follow when we are writing sonnet? Di ba meron yung number of syllables?
Kapag po sa first line po ay 5, second line naman po ay 7, tapos kapag po third ay 5 din po.
Okay, exactly. So we have, in terms of haiku, so of course, ito yung namana or na-introduce sa atin ng mga Japanese. So just like what Mr. Brianna said, so this consists of 3 lines, and this follows, or we have 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second line, and then another 5 syllable in the last line. So aside from sonnet, aside from haiku, we also have the elegy. So in terms of elegy, of course, this is a poem written to someone who died or meron ditong grieving, meron ditong grief. So a mourning death to a person or reflections on a loss. On the other hand, the fourth one is we have the lime read. So kapag sinabi naman nating lime read, so of course, um, ito yung more on humorous. So, kung si haiku, it consists of 3 lines. Ang limerick, of course, this consists of 5 line poem. And not only that, it is also strict in terms of the rhyme scheme. Okay? So, if you remember yung mga AB or BA, ABAB, or AABBA. Okay? So, last or next is we have also the ballad. So in terms of ballad, so it is a narrative poem which is often set to music in terms of dramatic story. You also have ode. So kapag naman sinabi nating ode, meaning to say you are going or this poem or poetry focuses on praising someone. For example, you want to praise your parents, your guardians, your classmates, o kaya naman your teacher. So that is again ode. And then next is we also have the epic. So kapag sinabi naman nating epic, of course, if you still remember, it is a long narrative poem which recall or recounts the adventures as well as the deeds of heroic and legendary figures. So, di ba meron tayo nung iba't ibang binasa kayo mismo way back during your high school days na epic. So, we also have, okay, so let's have now the sound devices. So in terms of the sound devices, so here we have the alliteration and then assonance or assonance. We also have, yes, Joseph.
Ma'am, excuse lang po. Nalipat po ba sa inyo yung slides po ng PowerPoint?
No. I mean, just like what I have said a while ago, I am just stating or directly saying yung mga types, yung mga, yes, yung types ng poetry as well as yung mga subtypes ng poetry. So, kindly take down notes. I did not attach that anymore in our PowerPoint presentation. Okay? So, if medyo hindi narinig din ng ibang student kanina, kasi nga medyo ito is more on recall. Kasi you already encountered this multiple times way back in your high school days. Okay? Kasi, okay ma'am, bakit po biglang hindi nyo na po in-attach or bakit po sinasabi nyo na lang? Kasi possible, there's a tendency na ma-encounter natin yung mga types of poetry or ma-ask siya sa inyo in terms of the literary works that we are going to explore. So again, so let's go back. So we have again, in terms of figurative devices, what did you remember in terms of figurative devices? I am going to give you a clue. So those are, for example, the simile, metaphor, what else? Ano pa yung mga kasamahan ni simile? Ano pa yung kasamahan ng simile and metaphor? Di ba, siguro grade 7 or kahit nga nung senior high na encounter niyo yun. Ano pa kaya? Simile, of course, the use of you're going to compare something or a thing with the use of like and as. On the other hand, if it is metaphor, so you are also having or conducting comparison, but you are not going to use the like and as. So what else? Ano pa yung mga figurative devices na naalala niyo before? Yes, Juan Miguel.
Ma'am, onomatopoeia po.
Okay. Juan Miguel, onomatopoeia, it is about what?
Ano po yun, ma'am? Nag-imitate po ng sound ng mga objects po.
Okay, so we have the imitation of sound. For example, yung mga crickling ng birds, the sound of bell, and etc. What else? Yes, Miss Princess.
Ano po, hyperbole.
Okay, we have hyperbole. So, in terms of hyperbole, so of course, ano kapag sinabi nating hyperbole?
Ano po, exaggeration. For ano po,
Okay, yes, exaggeration, exage. Meaning to say, yung parang mapapasabi ka kapag may sinabi si classmate mo na statement na parang ang OA naman. Okay, exage. And then, what else? I saw Mr. Sino yung nag-raise pa kanina ng hand? What else? Yun lang ba? We have onomatopoeia, hyperbole. Yes, Michael.
Ano po, personification po.
Okay, we also have the personification. How about personification?
Giving human qualities po to non-living things po.
Okay, giving human qualities to non-human things. For example, the wind whispered. Siyempre, hindi na, or alam naman natin na ang wind, hindi naman siya talaga nag-whisper. At ano yung nag-whisper? Of course, it is human or tayo mismo tao. What else? Yes, okay. So, Mr. Michael na pala yun. Yes, Miss Diana.
symbolism po.
Okay, we also have, that is correct, the symbolism. And later, during our discussion, I am going to ask you kung ano yung mga sinisimbolize nung encounter natin sa poem. And I think during also the last discussion that we have, I also present to you the symbolism. Of course, those are the things or objects na merong connection or meaning sa ating babasahin or sa ating binabasa. Okay, none. So, wala nang naaalala or nare-recall in terms of the figurative devices. Okay, so again, we have simile, metaphor, onomatopoeia, personification, hyperbole, and then personification na mention ko na. We also have the synecdoche. Are you familiar with synecdoche? Familiar ba sa synecdoche? No? Okay, so in my screen, wala naman ako nakita na react. So when we say synecdoche, so this is a figure of speech in which we are going to represent a whole. Okay? For example, all hands on deck. Okay? You are going to represent a whole. So those are some, or those are the examples of figure of speech or literary devices that you might encounter in terms of exploring or reading different kinds of literature. So now, again, that is part of the recall in terms of the literature. So moving on, we are going to use now our PowerPoint presentation So here we have the country Vietnam. And in this lesson, we are going to explore the three literary works or three literary pieces. So what are those? So first is we have a cherished daughter, a schoolboy's apology, as well as inside the submarine. Okay, so in terms of this one, let me ask you first as a review, also as a recall, kasi nga naman kanina tatlo lang na student yung nag-raise ng hand na kung saan binasa nila itong literary piece na ito. So, the first literary piece focuses on what? Or what is the main idea of this A Cherished Daughter? Aside from the title itself na, ma'am, para po yan sa daughter, para po sa anak na babae. Ngayon, ano yung meaning or ano yung meron sa poem na ito? Diba, sabi ko sa inyo, wala ulit akong makakausap kasi hindi ata ulit nagbasa ang lahat. Okay, yes, Miss Omali.
Gusto ko pag-umain about dito sa pagbabago po niya ng pagmamahal at pagbukas pamilya niya. At saka po yung traditional laws. Yung kung nagtatanong din po siya sa kanya ng kung po nag-aasawa yung power na wala
Okay, Miss Umali, I interrupt you lang para medyo marinig din ng iba mong classmate. Some parts of your answer or hindi clear masyado yung iyong audio, but I can hear you. Hindi nga lang siya ganun ka-clear para marinig din ng classmate mo yung answer. Kindly repeat again your answer. Miss Umali. Medyo parang basag lang sa audio.
Audible na po.
Yes.
Ano po yun, ma'am? About po sa ina at saka po sa anak niya. Na yung anak po is lagi po nagtatanong sa nanay niya kung kailan daw po siya magkakaroon ng asawa. Hanggang sa yung nanay po niya ay binibigyan po siya ng challenge hanggang sa natapos na po yung poem. Wala po siya naging asawa. It is about of love and pagpapatuloy po ng tradition niya na magkaroon po ng isang pamilya.
Okay, yes, exactly. So, let's see later, ano ba yung nangyari? Ano ba yung mga challenges na binigay ng parents or ng kanyang mother? And at what age kaya yung daughter na tinutukoy dito sa poem ay wala pa din asawa? Or nagkaasawa din nga ba siya or not? Okay, thank you, Miss Umali. How about the second literary piece? Any insight first or sharing before we explore? Ano meron naman dito? Aside from, ma'am, about po yan sa student, kasi po school boy. Nag-apology po siya or nagsasorry po siya. Anong meron kaya dito? What is the content of this poem? Yes, Mr. Garcia.
Ma'am, ang pagkakaintindi ko po dyan is parang may isa pong batang lalaki na yun nga po, sa start po ng story, sinabi po niya na madalas po siya makatulog sa klase. Then, yung mga sumunod naman po ng mga parts, parang nag-i-imply po siya na may dream po yung yung bata or may goals po sa buhay na gusto niya pong matupad or makamtan po.
Okay, exactly, correct. So, of course, kumbaga nagsulat siya or nagbibigay siya ng apology doon sa kanyang teacher kasi nga nagiging ganun yung mga performance niya, nag-apology yung schoolboy. Let's see also during the discussion. And how about the last one, Inside the Submarine? Yes, Clark.
Ma'am, base po sa na-search ko, parang hindi po ako nagbasa. Base lang po sa na-search ko. Ito po ay poem daw po ng Vietnamese na si Funny and How. At ito daw po ay journey sa secrets and darkness po ng life and the ocean po. Yun po, ma'am.
Okay, of course, that is true and correct. So, of course, we are going to encounter here yung sa mga darkness. Okay, tingnan natin ulit kung ano bang meron inside the, or dito sa inside the submarine. So, now let's move on to to them ideas or concept first in Vietnamese literature. So as you can see here, we have in the first bullet, so this is deeply rooted in the country's rich history, traditions, and struggle for independence. So in terms of the Vietnamese literature, so just like in the Philippine literature, we have, or this focuses on the history, ano ba yung mga traditions, ano ba yung mga struggles na kinaharap also ng Vietnamese or ng Vietnam before. So their challenges and their experiences, of course, it also reflect in the literature or literary works that they have. So next is we have it often reflect family values, respect for elders, and the balance between personal desires and societal expectations. So maybe if you listen to the sharing, just like what Miss Omali shared a while ago, so yung kanina, yung first poem that we're going to discuss, so it focuses of course on the family. Kung hindi man as a whole, so meron tayo dito yung daughter na as well as the mother. So again, in terms of the Vietnamese, they also reflect on the family values, how are they going to respect elders, as well as personal desires and societal expectations. And let's see later also kung yung bang societal expectations na tinutukoy dito sa context na ito ng Vietnamese is nag-reflect din ba siya dun sa a cherished daughter or not? Meron bang expectation yung society kaya parang gusto na agad ng daughter na magpakasal or mag-asawa or not? Okay? So here also, many stories highlight the harmony between individuals and their communities, as well as the challenges brought by modernization and historical conflicts. So, of course, sabi ko nga kanina, their literature also reflects on their experiences or the challenges that their community encounter. So, ano pa yung meron dito? So, we have here, okay, so let's talk about now a cherished daughter. So, if you're going to ask me, ma'am, sino po ang nagsulat or sino po ang author nitong a cherished daughter? Bakit po parang sa internet hindi ko po siya nakita? So, here, it is indicated that the author, it is anonymous Vietnamese folk poem. So, it is believed to have been composed around 1780 during the pre-colonial era of Vietnam. But again, this poem, of course, this was translated into English by Nguyen Ngoc Beach. Okay? Again, Nguyen Ngoc Beach. So, hindi man natin na-identify kung sino talaga yung sumulat niya na Vietnamese. Of course, nalaman naman natin kung sino yung nag-translate into English language. And then, so I noted Vietnamese scholar and translator and included in World Poetry an anthology of verse from antiquity to our time. So si Nguyen Ngoc Beach, of course, he is well known as a scholar and translator in terms of different language or in terms from Vietnamese language and then English language. So here, mabuti na lang din at ni-attach ko pa yung um, content or yung poem mismo. So we're not going to read this anymore. So in terms of the first stanza, okay, let's analyze this one. Kasi diba sabi ko nga basahin, kaso sabi nga hindi nagbasa ang karamihan. Okay, since I already provided this also, kindly read it on your own and try to share to me ano kaya yung ibig sabihin or meron dito sa first stanza. Okay? In short, anong meron lang dun sa isang or sa first stanza na ating pinag-uusapan? Tingnan nyo, si Miss Umali na lang ata ang aking makakausap. And for those students na alam naman ang sagot, you may unmute your microphone. Okay, sige, Miss Umali, kasi ikaw naman nga ay nagbasa. Okay, yes, Miss Umali. I think if you are speaking, hindi pa ikaw naka-unmute.
Hello po. Audible po?
Yes, audible.
Based po dun sa first stanza po ay parang sa kultura po ng mga Vietnamese, pagpatak po ng legal age ng babae, kailangan po may magiging asawa na siya or may magiging pamilya na po.
Yes. Okay, that's all. What else aside from that? Yes, your answer is correct. So, as you can see in the first line, so mother, I am 18 this year and still without a husband. So, of course, the daughter na hindi nga napangalanan, of course, she is worried kasi wala pa siyang asawa or hindi pa siya kinakasal. So, ano na nangyari? Anong sinagot naman or anong ginawa naman ng mother? Ha? Para dun sa mga hindi din nagbasa, I provided a copy para ako ay may makausap sa inyo. Okay, sige. Yes, Mr. Garcia. Parang palitan na lamang si Miss Umali at si Mr. Garcia dito.
Ma'am, for the next lines po, dun sa what mother is your plan, parang nag-imply po siya na nahingi po siya ng consultation sa kanyang mother. Then yung naging sagot naman po ng kanyang mother dun po sa kanyang pagpa-consult na yun is parang nagbigay po siya ng uh, two persons which would be the two matchmakers. Then through that po ay binigyan na din po ng challenge yung uh, parang yung anak po niya na babae. Then with those challenge po na parang hindi po na na-meet po yung expectations or yung standards po na in-imply po nila.
Okay, so apology for some interruptions. So meron lang nagtanong sa akin dito na ako, teacher. Okay, so let's go back to the discussion. So a while ago, Mr. Joseph answered or add na kung saan nga ay may hiningi. So, or tinatanong nga yung mother, what is the next plan? So, as you can see in the first line, so here, the mother tells the matchmaker that, for example, nga, if you want to marry her off, you have to bring at least 5 full kwan. Okay? So, basically, yung mother, she is serious or serious siya na mag-test or i-test nga kung capable ba yung nangangarap or yung nangangarap na mapakasalan yung kanyang asawa, yung kanyang daughter rather. How about in the second stanza? How about in the second stanza? Ano namang meron dito? 'Di ba sabi kanina 18 years old and then at the age of 23, what happened? Yes, Andre.
Doon naman po sa sunod na line is naka nakalagay po doon na 23 na daw po siya that time. Tapos comparing po doon sa naunang nauna po, doon po ay 5,000 areca nuts tas naging 3,000 na lang po. Tapos yung 5 fat figs po naging 3 na lang. Tapos yung 5 suits of clothes po ay naging 3 na lang din. Indicating po na yung bumaba po para pong sa kultura po nila is bumaba po yung value ng babae sa mata pag sa po sa pagtanda po nung pag-edad po gano'n.
Okay, yes, exactly. That is correct. Mr. Andre. Okay, tama ba ako si Mr. Andre yung kanina? So, tama yung sinagot ni Mr. Andre. So, again, since yung daughter niya is nagkaka-age na, meaning to say, yung mga demands mas bumababa na. Kasi for her mother, maybe it will become too hard for her daughter to find a husband. Therefore, the mother lowers the requirement to make it easier for her daughter to have a husband. And how about in the third stanza? What else can you say in the third stanza? Since you are reading it at this moment, I hope you will participate para naman hindi lang dalawa o tatlo yung nakakausap ko dito. Yes, Mr. Julius.
Malagay po ay parang 13 na daw po, 32 na daw po yung babae po Parang mas bumaba po yung value niya. Parang kung sa po parang pamigay na din po yung anak po para lang po magkaasawa po.
Okay, so medyo nakakaano naman yung parang pamigay na yung kanyang daughter. Okay, pero yes, tama din naman nga yung concept. Pero hindi naman sa pinamigay na para namang wala ng love yung mother naman. Okay? Sige, sabi dito, in terms of the third stanza, so of course, kung kanina nga, medyo mataas pa compare naman nga dito sa third stanza yung parang value na. So here, the mother still lowering the bar. Okay? So, parang halang makahanap pa din yung kanyang daughter ng asawa. So here, you can feel the urgency as well as the desperation na magkaroon siya ng magiging biyanan. Okay? So how about in the fourth stanza? We only have here the 4 lines as well. So here, it is indicated na siya ay age 43. How about in this one? How are you going to interpret yung feelings nitong daughter na ito? Aside from sinabi nga still without a husband, if you are in her shoe, ano yung mafe-feel ninyo? Yes, Maria Clarice.
Dahil nga po 43 na po siya na wala pa rin pong asawa na sa edad na po na yon is parang sobrang tanda na po na hindi pa po kasal then wala pa pong anak. Then sinabi nga din po na kung pwede nga lang daw po ay ipamigay na lang daw po siya. Parang sa akin po dun parang wala na pong tingin po niya wala na po siyang silbi as anak kasi nga po ang tanda na po niya.
Okay, so wala na siyang silbi as bilang anak, and of course, imagine 43 years old. So kung dito sa culture natin sa Philippines, ang sasabihin mo agad na ay mahihirapan na ikaw magbuntis, ay hindi ka na manganganak. Or talagang wala nang magkakagusto sa iyo kasi ikaw ay age of 43 na. 'Di ba may mga ganung sinasabi or dinidictate sa atin ang society. But still, on the other hand, meron pa din naman nga kahit anong age ka na or kahit nga ikaw ay iniwan or nagkaroon ka na namatay ang iyong asawa or namatay yung asawa nga, still meron pa din nakakahanap ng true love. Okay? So in the last stanza, of course, the daughter just wanted to be married. And then, so nakikita pa din natin dito yung frustration as well as yung pagod na meron siya in terms of the rules na binigay sa kanya ng mother, as well as the demands, yung mga challenges na binigay ng kanyang mother. Okay? Di ba, if you're going to read this poem, it sounds so simple, right? Parang ang dali lang naman, ma'am, medyo gets na nga po agad namin kahit ngayon lang po namin yan binasa. But still, what important is the message of this poem. So my question is, in terms of the analysis, do you believe that the daughter is cherished? Kasi yun yung title niya. Do you believe that the daughter is um, cherished? Defend your answer. Anyone? Despite nung mga nangyari na, no one, wala na talaga siyang naging asawa at the age of 43. Sa tingin mo ba, minahal siya or pinahalagahan lang talaga siya ng mother? Ha? Okay, yes. Aside from these three students, sige, let's have you, Clark.
Ma'am, sa tingin ko po ay may babasa ko din po siguro po sa edad. Kasi kung 18 pa lang po siya tapos naghahanap na po ako ng asawa is ano po, malaki po talaga yung pakialam din ng magulang. Pero kung nagka-edad na po siya ng mga bandang yung mga 43 po, 32, yun po ay hindi na po pang cherish din sa anak. Siguro po yun ano, pang pag nanakaw na ng kasiyahan ng daughter. Ayun po, ma'am.
Okay, pag nanakaw na ng kasiyahan. So yes, I agree with what you said. But in terms of this one, sa kanila, medyo inaalaw na or parang nagiging part na ng kanilang tradition na at the age of 18, medyo magkakaroon na sila ng asawa. Pero still, dito sa atin sa Philippines, of course, it is different. Even though it is the legal age, still hindi natin agad ang pinupush or view kayo mismo, for example na at the age of 19 or 18 or 20 years old, ang hindi naman agad kayo pinupush ng inyong mga parents na magkaroon na ng asawa. Okay? So, in terms of this one, if I am going to ask you also, what do you think is the culture of the Vietnamese shown in this poem? Ano kaya yung culture na meron sila? Ano kaya yung present dito sa culture na ito? Na parang, di ba, may kagustuhan itong mother para sa anak niya. Ano meron kaya sa culture ng Vietnamese na present sa poem na ito upon reading and analyzing? Anyone? Akias bench.
Yung kahalagahan po ng pag-aasawa.
Okay, yung kahalagahan ng pag-aasawa para kay bench. Or sige, parang medyo maidagdag natin dun sa answer ni Bench. So, I think maipapasok natin dito yung culture nga ng mga Vietnamese na meron silang arranged marriage, di ba? So, here sa atin sa Philippines, hindi naman ganun siya ka-visible. Or kung tutuusin, halos siguro sa mga nababasa or napapanood na lang natin, most especially if you are fond of reading yung sa mga Wattpad. So dito lang or doon natin nakikita yung sa arranged marriage. Pero in other countries, it is very visible or ginagawa talaga. What else? Yes, dastas.
Makikita rin po sa poem ng kasalukuyan ng bata ay hindi lang po sa pag-ibig, kundi din po pati sa yaman ng pamilya. Malaki din daw po ang kontrol ng mga magulang sa pag-decision at kaunti lang po ang kalayaan ng mga babaeng pamilya.
Okay, so in terms of your answer, so yes, of course, mas nagkakaroon ng authority yung mga parents, yung mga guardians before, na in fact, so imagine, ang daming ginawa ng challenges ng mother dito sa poem. Okay? So yes, let's have you, Mr. Garcia.
Ma'am, yung sa part po din ng challenges, pwede din po yun mag-indicate po na meron silang dowry po sa kanilang culture po.
Yes, exactly. Yung dowry, yung exchange yung in terms of the money. At saka yung nabanggit kanina, yung matchmaker practices. So, in terms of the culture, I think none. Okay. So, in terms of this also, my next question is, do you think obedience always give optimistic result? Again, do you think obedience, yung pagiging masunurin natin, always give optimistic result based on what happened to the daughter? Anyone? Other hands, please. Or you may answer it based on your experience in real life. Does obedience always give optimistic result? Palagi bang positive yung naibibigay or naidudulot ng pagiging masunurin natin sa magulang natin, sa teacher, sa friend, sa sibling? Always positive ba yung result? So that is the question. Yes, Kian.
Ma'am, for me po is okay lang naman po. Pero since may kanya-kanya naman po tayong life, I think po is mas better po kung ang susundin po natin is yung gusto natin na hindi yung sa kung anong sabihin ng iba kung ano yung mas tingin nilang tama or mali. Kasi po, it's our own life. So tayo po yung magde-decide ng kapalaran natin. Ayun lang po.
Okay, so it is our own life, meaning to say, we should be are the one who will decide on ourselves. Sige, let me hear also the answer of you, Mr. Julius.
Ma'am, nakadepende po sa sa magulang po. At sa na din po, sa anak na din po. Gawa ng minsan po ay mas nakakabuti po yung kagustuhan po ng anak dahil minsan po ay against na po sa kagustuhan po ng anak yung gusto pong mangyari ng magulang po.
Okay. So yes, I agree with what you said. So meaning to say, and before ko mas tawag yung yung 3 students pa na nag-raise ng hand. So, yes, it doesn't, or yung pagiging masunurin nga natin, it doesn't always give an optimistic result. And that is because of what the daughter experienced in the given poem. Okay, but I am not saying that you should not obey kung ano yung sinasabi nga ng inyong parents. But again, it depends also on the certain situation or event. So before I expound it more, sige, let me hear also your answer, Mr. Garcia.
Ma'am, nakadepende rin po sa situation kung paano din po natin papakinggan yung ating magulang. So for instance po, once na parang younger age pa po, mas better po na i-consider po natin yung decisions po ng ating magulang. But once we grow older na po, mas maayos po na magkaroon po tayo ng sariling exploration po sa mga bagay-bagay. But still considering din po yung mga pinapayo po ng magulang. So with that exploration nga po, mas nagkakaroon po tayo ng pansarili po nating perspective po or different perspective po sa magulang natin. Kasi just based from experience po, magkaiba po yung situation po na kinalakihan ng ating magulang sa situation po natin ngayon.
Okay, yes. You also have a point. So, good sharing, Mr. Garcia. And I just want to relate also sa naging answer ni Mr. Garcia. For example, in terms of, to make it realistic, so in terms of the course that you are going to take, or kayo mismo as electrical engineering, so I am not sure if kayo talaga, personally, ay gusto talagang maging electrical engineer, But still, in some students, so meron diyang, for example, influence na lang ni parents, o kaya naman, yun na yung gusto ng parents nga, ng guardians na ikaw ay maging isang engineer. So in that way, nasa-set aside mo naman kung ano talaga yung iyong happiness. Therefore, at the end, sino lang din yung pinaka-mag-suffer? Of course, you. Okay? Ikaw lang din. Kasi hindi mo nagawa kung ano talaga yung ang magbibigay sa'yo ng joy. Okay? So yes, Clark.
Siguro po gagawin ko lang din po kasi sa edad po siguro. Siguro po kung pagpalagay po ng mga 18 years old, siguro po ay mga ganang edad po ay not matured enough po to gumawa ng decision na kanya at yun po kailangan po sumunod sa mga magulang. Pero po kung tumatanda na, siguro po yun po ay panahon na para magkaroon ng sariling desisyon. Pero hindi naman po sa babaliwalain na lang yung magulang. Okay? Hihingi ka po ng, wait lang po. Kumbaga, hihingi pa din po ng payo sa mga magulang as guide po. Pero nasa sayo pa din po yung desisyon kasi nga po matanda na.
Okay, so yes. Almost same idea, I think, sa naging sagot ng isang classmate a while ago. So still, you need to consult your parents and also decide on your own or do your own. Pero sabi nga, they are parents, they are our guardians, they know also what is best for us. So ano na lang ba din yung, at least pakinggan pa din natin yung kanilang suggestions. Okay? So yes, Kurt.
Para po sa akin yung pagsunod po kasi sa magulang minsan parang alam po ng magulang kung ano po yung makakabuti po para sa kanilang anak. And then minsan lang kaya lang po siya nagiging masama kapag let's say po nasa tamang edad na po yung anak. Tapos may kakayahan na po siyang mag-isip kasi fully developed na nga po, matured na. Nakakasama lang po yung pagiging sobra sa pagiging masunurin kasi yun nga po, fully developed ka na nga po. Tapos parang ang ihingin mo na lang po sa kanya kapag may gagawin ka guidance. And kung alam mo naman pong tama yung gagawin mo, at valid po yung magiging reason po ng inyong magulang kapag kinansot mo, okay lang naman po.
Okay. So good point also, Kurt. So thank you for your answer. And then last is we have you, Miss Maria.
Sa akin po, ako po is lumaki po na ang parents ko po ay strict po sa akin. So hanggang nung 20 years old po ako, doon lang po ako binigyan ng parang freely po na mag-desisyon para po sa akin. And then dun po sa mga last years po na strict po sila sa akin. Lagi lang po akong sumusunod sa kanila. At hindi po yung nakakapagbigay sa akin ng saya. Pero at the same point naman po is nakakapagbigay po yung sa akin ng satisfaction or joy po kasi po susunod ko po sila and natutuwa po sila dun para sa akin. And ngayon po na free na po sila sa akin na simula po nung 20 years old, dun ko din po na realize na minsan po talaga mas tama po yung magulang po natin sa mga payo.
Okay, yes. That is also correct, Miss Maria. Of course, so again, in terms of this one and based also on the poem that we analyze, so this means or sinasabi lang din dito that obedience, of course, may show respect as well as this may keep the peace with the family or the society that we have. But of course, it doesn't guarantee personal happiness or success, and sometimes it also brings conflict with you or in your desire. But again, personally also, I just want to emphasize that since they are our parents, they are our guardians, still they know what is best for us. So, hindi naman nga literal na kailangan palaging sundin, but still, try to listen, hear their suggestions, hear their opinions, and then assess also or evaluate also yourself if ano ba talaga yung mas nangingibabaw para sa'yo. Therefore, hindi naman na-set aside personally din yung iyong feelings. Okay? So can we now move on to the next slide? Did you get the message of this poem? Okay, thank you for those students who clicked the heart reaction. So now we have here again, of course, the plot. So medyo ito naman ay connected na in terms of the previous slide. So again, the daughter ages over time from 18 to 43 as her mother repeatedly sets high dowry requirement that drive away her suitors, and then this result in the daughter remaining unmarried. So meaning to say, of course, at the age of 43, so wala siyang naging asawa. Okay? So next is we have here the characters, since we're going to focus or talk about the elements in terms of this poem. So again, we have the characters. So here, the daughter narrates the poem. And of course, as you can see, um, it is written in first person point of view because we use the I, and siya mismo talaga ngayon nagsasalita or nag-state. So representing the voice of women constrained by tradition. And that tradition again, of course, you need to listen first to your parents, o kaya naman ngayon sinabi kanina na dapat at the age of 18 magkaroon ka na dapat ng asawa. Again, in the culture of Vietnam. So, and that is also before, meron siyang specific year. So here also we have another character in the poem which is the mother. So this symbolizes societal expectations and cultural practice of arranged marriage as well as yun yung dowry. So again, I already mentioned yun nga sa arranged marriage. So that is nangyayari or nagaganap na sa Vietnam. And then in terms of the setting, so the time as well as the location, so the poem likely takes place in a traditional rural Vietnamese village around 1700s AD as suggested by the date and imagery used. So what else aside from the setting? So here we have the theme or the message, main idea. So the clash between traditional customs and the personal desires of women for love as well as for freedom. So meaning to say, nagtatalo na nga yung mga traditions na meron sa Vietnam as well as yung personal desire na kung saan gusto na din nga niyang mag-asawa pero ito nga mother niya, madami pa siyang conditions or challenges na binigay. And then at the end, wala nang nangyari. Hindi siya nagkaroon ng asawa at the age of 43. And then again, we have also here the point of view, which is I already mentioned. So this use the first person point of view, the use of I or the pronoun I, showing the story entirely through the daughter's emotion as well as the voice. So in the poem, we will be able to see and feel the frustration na gustong maganap or gustong mangyari or na na-experience nga noong daughter na hindi pinangalanan. And we have here also again the conflict. So in terms of the conflict, we have two conflict, which is internal as well as the external conflict. So internal conflict within yourself. So the daughter frustration and growing desperation as she remains single. So again, frustrated na siya. Gustong-gusto niya nang magkaroon siya ng asawa. Siguro nagkakaroon na din siya or medyo bumababa na din nga yung tingin niya sa kanyang sarili kasi naiisip niya na bakit at this age, at the age of 18, at the age of 23, wala pa akong nagiging asawa. So, sa inyo ba, meron ba sa inyong mga ganong way or meron ba sa inyong ganong iniisip or ganong thinking na ay, for example, sabi niyo kanina 20 years old kayo or 19. So, meron ba din dito nag-iisip na, ay, hindi naman ako maganda, ay, hindi naman ako pogi, hindi ako kagusto-gusto. Kasi wala pa din akong boyfriend or no boyfriend since birth pa ako o kaya no girlfriend since birth pa ako. Meron bang ganun sa inyong ang thinking na napo-frustrate na, nasasabihin sa friend na sige na, ireto mo na ako diyan sa friend mo nang ako ay magka-boyfriend na. May mga ganun ba? Ha? Parang wala pa naman siguro and I hope since kayo naman ay student pa, wag naman aabot sa ganun na na way. Okay, so wag naman aabot sa ganun na way na parang talagang gustong-gusto na kasi nga sabi, explore being a youth, enjoy being a youth. So sabi nga, madami pa kayong makikilala also once you graduate. Okay, so next is we have the external. So for external, the mother's rigid expectation and society's pressure. Kasi nga, ginugusto or sa Vietnam, sabi ko kanina, gusto na dapat na magkaroon na ng asawa. So next is we have the symbolism. So the increasing age shows the daughter's fading hope. So nawawala na siya ng pag-asa. Sabi nga kanina, frustrated na siya. Therefore, we also have here the decreasing dowry requirement symbolizes desperation and societal change. So if you notice, bumababa na yung value ng kanyang daughter. Parang sabi nga kanina nung classmate nyo, parang pamigay na po siya. Ganyan. So, still, it is visible na, kumbaga, kapag yung isang bagay nga is hindi, kumbaga, in terms of the things, kung hindi siya gustuhin or hindi siya mabenta, kung hindi siya binibili, syempre, no choice ka. For example, as a vendor, na kundi ibaba na lang yung presyo para lang maubos yung iyong tinitinda. And we have here also the moral lesson. So, excessive focus on wealth, status, and tradition can limit personal happiness and lead to regret as well as suffering. So, here, bakit po biglang excessive focus on wealth as well as on the status? Kasi nga, in the first part, yung kanyang mother, madami na siyang challenges na inoffer, madami siyang gusto, madami siyang hiningi para doon sa mga suitors or sa nagtatangkang maging asawa ng kanyang daughter. And then we have here limit personal happiness. Of course, if you're not going to, syempre, if you're not going to achieve the things that we want, of course, nalilimit tayo, hindi tayo magiging masaya. And if we are going to follow also kung ano yung sinasabi sa atin ng society without considering our feelings and our emotions, of course, this will result to a regret as well as suffering. So, do you have, if I am going to ask you, what lesson have you gained from a cherished daughter? Just at least one word. Most especially to those students who did not yet unmute. Just one word or any realization that you want to share before we move on to the next poem? Mr. Thomas?
Ano po yung tanong mo ulit po?
Okay, upon listening to the discussion or analysis in terms of this poem, what lesson have you gained?
Ano po, ang lesson po ako na nag-gain ko yung baga po i-respeto po natin yung sarili natin at yung baga po darating din naman po yung tamang panahon para sa mga bagay na atin pong ninanais. Para pong gano'n.
Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Thomas. And yes, Mr. Briones.
Para sa akin po ay yung ano po, kalayaan po. Kalayaan po sa pagdesisyon po. Hindi lang po umasa sa iba. Yun lang po.
Okay, so short but precise. So we have, of course, the freedom to choose, freedom to love, freedom to decide. Okay, so that is from Mr. Briones. So do you have questions so far in the first poem that we discussed? Can we move on to the next poem now? Okay, so thank you for those students who clicked the heart reaction. So moving on, we have here Schoolboy's Apology. So, sige. So this one, of course, this was written by Lee Tan Huan. I hope I pronounced it also right. So a Vietnamese poet during a period marked by war as well as political unrest in Vietnam. So this era was dominated by the Vietnam War starting from 1955 to 1975, which deeply affected the lives of civilians, including the children. And not only that, so during this time, many young boys were deprived okay, of normal childhood experiences. Meaning to say, kung ano dapat yung nai-experience ng mga bata before, they was not able to experience that. For example, they are being pushed to work, not to study. So, di ba? Same goes here in the Philippines. So, meron mga pangyayari na talaga namang na sana nag-aaral yung mga, for example, at the age of 5, pero sila ay napupush na magbenta, for example, yun sa mga church, yun sa Sampaguita, at kung ano-ano pa, or nagtatrabaho sila. So I don't know also if you experience that, na kumbaga parang pinagdamutan ng tadhana or pinagdamutan ng pagkakataon. Okay? So, syempre, kayo naman nga dito ay nag-aaral. Still, meron at meron kayong parang masasabi na kakulangan or deprivation. So, again, I'm deprived of normal childhood experiences like playing freely or receiving uninterrupted education because villages were destroyed and then family were displaced and violence was widespread. Again, um, destroyed villages or village and then violence meron daw dito or nagaganap. Therefore, let's see anong connection niya doon sa student. Okay, so I also attach here the stanza or the fourth stanza for this poem. So just like what we did in the previous poem, so can you share first your own interpretation in the first stanza? Kindly read it now if you did not search it in the internet or use the or open the PDF file that I sent last time. How are you going to analyze the first stanza in simple words and based on your understanding para tayo ay maka-move on at maka-proceed na sa next country? Sige. Yes, Mr. Garcia, since you read this poem.
For me po, parang ini-indicate po niya na may iba po siyang commitments po sa ibang bagay. Na that's why po na nagkakaroon po siya or nakakatulog po siya sa klase po. Then yung please, dun sa third and fourth line naman po, yung please forgive me, please don't be angry for I have no place to play. Parang may something po na nag-held back sa kanya kaya hindi po niya magawa po yung mga normal po na ginagawa ng mga tao po sa or mga bata po na ka-age niya po.
Okay, so yes, exactly. So in terms of this one, of course, the speaker here, nakakatulog nga daw siya or nakakatulog na siya sa lecture or during the discussion, which is, we can also relate that in reality. So diba, there are working students. Sino dito ang mga working students? Meron ba ditong working student na after ng klase, kailangan kong munang jumuti, kailangan kong munang umuwi agad kasi may kailangan akong tapusin, nagsa-sideline. So, Miss Diana, ano ang sa iyo, Miss Diana? Okay, sige, si Miss Diana at saka si Mr. Joseph. How about you, Mr. Joseph? Do you want to share kung ano yung iyong parang work? But if you do not, or if you prefer not to say or to share it with your classmates, it's okay lang din naman.
Ma'am, audible po.
Yes, Miss Diana.
Sa amin po is may coffee shop po kami and ano po, after school po or kapag po may vacant time, nasa kapihan po kami hanggang 11 p.m. po. Then makakauwi po sa bahay ng 1. Then kailangan na po uling pumasok, ganun po.
Okay. So, thank you, Miss Diana. So, just like that, of course, medyo pwede natin siyang i-relate in terms dun sa speaker ng poem na ito. Therefore, baka nga mamaya si Miss Diana, syempre pagod. Isa din sa nagiging reason nga niya kung sakaling nakakatulog din siya sa klase or hindi nakakapag-participate is because she is a working student. So, in terms of this one naman, of course, para dun sa schoolboy or para dun sa bata, wala daw siyang place to play. Okay? No place to or no space to play. Therefore, she is or he is asking for forgiveness and understanding rather than anger to his or her teacher. How about in the second stanza? How about in the second stanza? Can someone share something upon reading these four lines? Ano na nangyayari? Sabi dito, I want to be a sailor. Nagkakaroon na ng ano yung um, student o yung, yes, yung schoolboy na tinutukoy. Yes, Julius.
Sa akin, para sa akin po yung ano, gusto niya pong tuparin yung ano po, yung kanyang dream po. Ah, yung kanya pong kagustuhan po, parang ganun.
Okay, exactly. That is correct. Of course, here the speaker is yes, Mr. Clark. Do you still want to add?
Base po sa pagkakaintindi ko kumbaga po parang nagkakaroon na po siya ng challenge sa pagsasabay po ng dalawa. Ayun po.
Okay, na-challenge na siya. Pinagsasabay na niya. Okay, so, okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. So, in terms of, I think one student also raised her hand. Do you want to share your answer? Or no? Okay, sige. I think no. So, we have here again, here, the speaker, of course, is growing up. So, siya ay lumalaki na. Therefore, nagdi-dream na din nga siya, kagaya na sinabi ni Julius. So, of course, he is dreaming of adventure na kung saan gusto nga niyang maging sailor. So, here, he is more excited about life. Excited siya sa mundo. Okay? Excited siya sa mundo. Excited siyang to pursue his dream. And I hope, in reality, ganun din kayo mismo. That even though sometimes you feel tired, meeting, ulit na lang mag-review, ulit-ulit na lang mag-aaral. So, you must hold on to your dreams. Ano ba yung pinanghahawakan nyo in your life? Okay? So, how about in the third stanza? Ano naman kayang meron dito sa third stanza in simple words and interpretation? Okay, yes, Mr. Julius. Yes, Julius.
Parang ano lang, ang ano po, pagkakaintindi ko po ay yung kanya pong dream po ay parang, ano lang po, dream lang po sadya, parang wala pong patutunguhan. Ganun po.
Okay, dream lang talaga, walang pangtutunguhan. How about, thank you for that, Julius. How about the others? Do you have the same interpretation or understanding to what Mr. Julius shared? Okay, let me hear your answer, Benj.
Ma'am, third stanza ba po?
Yes, third stanza.
Para sa akin po, dito po sa pangatlong stanza, pinapakita po ng bata yung kanya pong pagsisikap para po sa kanyang pangarap. Kaso nga lang po, nasisira po dahil po sa gera. Tapos po, nakita niya po yung mga baril at nakakarinig po ng tunog dahil po sa labanan. Yung kanya pong kasiyahan, kumbaga ay napapalitan po ng takot at saka lungkot. Yun lang po.
Okay, exactly. That is correct, Benj. So how about you, Mr. Reyes? Do you still want to add? Do you still want to add to the answer of Julius and Briones?
Yes po.
Sige.
Para po sa akin yung third stanza po is nag-reflect ng kung gaano siya kahina or ka-powerless. Parang pinagmamasdan niya na lang po yung kanyang buhay na bumagsak and wala po siyang magawa.
Okay, kumbaga in short, siya ay helpless na. So, yes, your answer is correct. Gusto ko lang i-highlight din yung naging sagot kanina ni Mr. Briones. Of course, here, the speaker's joy. Sabi nga, parang hindi na nangyayari kasi nga napapalibutan na siya or nadi-destroy na nga siya ng war. And sabi din dito, of course, the student or that boy, itong schoolboy na tinutukoy, he is surrounded, of course, by constant violence. Okay? So, therefore, as a result, nagkakaroon na lang siya or nagiging helpless na lang siya. Unable to understand kung ano ba yung totoong mga nangyayari. And we will be able to identify that because sabi dito sa last line, so blood and bones and hatred all strain red. Okay? So, last, we have here the last stanza. How about in the last stanza? I hope I will be able to hear other voice also. Ano na kaya nangyari dito sa last stanza? Before I allow Joseph to unmute. Other hands, please. None? Okay, so sige, let's have you, Mr. Joseph.
Ma'am, for the fourth stanza po, parang naging situation po is naging every man for himself na po or herself. Like, naging part na po na ng buhay niya na nawi-witness na po niya yung mga tao na sarili na lang po yung iniisip and parang rin pong survival mode na po ang nangyayari. And yung way back po sa papunta sa nakasanayan po niya or sa past po ng kanyang buhay is parang na-cut off na po. So, wala na po siyang mababalikan.
Okay, exactly. So, yes, the last line is also what I am going to say. So, sabi nga dito, there is no way to return to what was lost. And of course, you will be feel isolated as well as abandoned. So, here, sabi nga din ni Joseph, so medyo parang nagiging selfish na nga. So, halos yung mga tao sa paligid nagiging selfish na, parang binibetray na lang din ang isa't isa. So, hindi mo na ninonotice or tayo mismo in reality, hindi na natin nanonotice yung sufferings, yung mga struggles, yung mga pains na meron yung ating nakakasalumuha or ating mga friends. Okay? So, again, that is Schoolboy's Apology. So, if I am going to ask you, and before we proceed again to the next slide, what lesson also have you gained or any realization upon reading and hearing this poem, Schoolboy's Apology? Ano yung parang, ganun nga pala dapat? Ano yung parang, effect ninyo? Kumbaga, or wow effect ninyo? Other hands, so you may apply or use your personal experience in terms of this poem. So medyo sila na lang yung aking nakakausap. Si Diana, si Bench, si Julius, si Clark, si Thomas. Okay, so sige, let's have you, Bench.
Ma'am, para sa akin po, nakuha ko yung lesson dito.
Okay,
Kahalaga,
sige, continue.
yung kahalagahan po ang kapayapaan at saka pagkabataan. Pinapakita po sa pula po ng konsensya saka po sa innocence po at pangarap ng mga kabataan. Lalo na po sa kasabihan. Kaya po dapat tayong maging mapayapa kung makalit saka maging
Okay, medyo nawawala lang ikaw, Bench. Medyo may I interrupt you? Medyo nawawala lang ang iyong audio, but I can hear your voice. Medyo not clear lang siya. Pero I heard, okay, you may continue, Bench.
Ma'am, audible ka po. Okay na
Yes,
po.
audible.
Okay po. Yung lesson po na nakuha po yung ano ko, pahalagahan po ang problema. Kasi po, dito po sa school ko psychology, pinapakita po dito yung ang digmaan po ay sumisira po sa innocence po ng kabataan, pangarap, lalo po sa kasiyahan. Kaya dapat tayong maging mapayapa, maunawin, tsaka po maging mahabagin po. Lalo na po sa ating mga kabataan na nangangarap lamang po ng magandang kinabukasan. Yun lang.
Okay, so again, we have Kalayaan or Peace from Bench. So thank you, Bench. How about you, Miss Umali?
Para sa akin po, ang natutunan ko po sa Schoolboy Psychology ay hangga't may pagkakataon po na mag-aral ay pahalagahan po yung pagkakataon yun. Kasi hindi po lahat ng bata ay may chance na makapagtapos po at i-pursue ang dreams nila. Kaya sana po ay huwag po yun sayangin.
Okay, so yes, exactly. So imagine in the first line, so nag-apology nga yung student or yung lalaki na bata na kung saan nakakatulog siya kasi meron siyang ganong experiences. Therefore, most especially for those students or son and daughter na kung saan parang halos binibigay na ng mga parents nila or guardians nila yung best. At sabi nga ng parents, mag-aaral na lang ikaw, papasok na lang ikaw sa school, meron ka ng baon, hindi mo na kailangan pang magbanat ng buto. Therefore, you must also do your job. And your job or your duty as of now is to study, is to make also your parents proud. Okay? So, kahit sa simpleng bagay or sa simpleng paraan, you must pay back or let your parents feel that you appreciate them. Okay? So, ano pa ba naman yung gawin nyo yung best ninyo para mag-aral kahit kayo ay napapagod. So, magiging masaya na nun ang inyong parents. Most especially after 3 years, once na kayo ay registered or kayo nga ay board passer na or electrical engineer na. So, last is we have you, Julius.
Sa akin po ay never stop dreaming po, even the world is full of chaos po. Kasi, po, parang pag may goal po tayo sa buhay, may po tayo, may lakas po tayo na para magpatuloy po.
Okay, exactly. So short but precise also. So I saw some of your classmates click the heart reaction. So meaning to say, if once you feel tired in terms of studying or meron yung mga iba pang personal struggles or problems, you must go back to your goal or to your aim. And ask yourself, bakit ba ako nagsimula? Or ano ba talagang pinaglalaban ko? Ano ba tong mga pinapasok ko sa buhay? Okay? So now let's move on to the next slide. So we will be having again the elements. So we have, so medyo this is connected again to what we discussed in the previous slide. So the poem is a heartfelt apology from a schoolboy to his teacher for moments of misbehavior, like falling asleep during class or shouting uncontrollably. So through his apology, he reveals the painful truth that he has no safe place to play or grow, and his life is overshadowed by war. He dreams of becoming a sailor and living freely, but the constant violence, destruction, and betrayal around him make his future uncertain. So I think I just want to share also as a teacher. So ito din yung sinasabi, of course, na the teacher also must understand or try to understand the student. So for example, just like in my class, of course, hindi ko naman agad sinisigawan na, okay, bakit ikaw ay hindi, bakit ikaw ay natutulog ngayon at hindi ka natulog sa inyong bahay? Or bakit ikaw ay late? So, di ba, hindi naman ganun yung inyong mga teacher. Kumbaga, they are asking you first kung ano ba yung reason behind your low participation, o kaya naman your absenteeism. Okay, so next is we have here the characters. So in terms of the characters, kindly read this content. Let me call you Albert.
Characters. The schoolboy. Ma'am, lahat po.
Yes.
The schoolboy, or the speaker, represents the innocence of youth corrupted by war. His voice reflects the pain of an entire generation of children forced to confront trauma and loss. The teacher, the implied figure, symbolizes education, hope, and the stability that boy yearns for amidst chaos. The war, though not literal character, war serves as the antagonist, shaping the boy's environment and robbing him of joy.
Okay, so thank you for reading Albert. So again, we have here the schoolboy, of course the speaker, and then we have the teacher na yung binigyan or ginawa niya ng apology, and of course the war, which is about robbing him or the student the joy. So moving on, we have here the setting. So as you can see, we have here the physical, social, and symbolic setting. So for physical, kindly read the content. Let's have Dawn.
Physical settings, a war-torn village and a classroom in Vietnam during the Vietnam War era. Ma'am, physical lang po, ano ba?
As well as social and symbolic.
Social settings, a society devastated by conflict where survival often comes at the cost of morality and trust. Symbolic setting, the destroyed home represent lost innocence and severed family ties, while the classroom symbolize fleeting hope and normalcy.
Okay, so thank you for reading. So again, this happened in the village at Vietnam. So during the Vietnam War era. Therefore, it is connected in terms of war based on the personal experience of the speaker. And we have here also the theme. So here we have the loss of innocence, which is very visible in the poem that we discussed. So childhood dreams are destroyed by violence as well as trauma. And then we have also the effects of war. So war damages not only land as well as bodies, but also the minds and spirits of children. So just like again in reality or the setup that you have, for example, in your home or sa inyong mga bahay, it might also affect or influence you for you not to perform better in school or magkaroon pa man ng personal challenges or problems. And next is we have the survival and resilience. So here, the boy still dares to dream of a better future. And the last one is apology as healing. So the act of apologizing becomes a symbolic gesture of hope as well as reconciliation. So meaning to say, we value here way of asking apology. So imagine, di ba ngayon, I don't know if kayo or meron pa ba dito na parang for example students na kung saan naka-feel na parang medyo nabastos or na-mistreat niya yung kanyang teacher, meron pa bang nag-a-ask ng forgiveness or wala na. So yun din yung gustong ipakita ng poem na ito. Again, we have the resilience, the capacity or the ability to stand again despite the difficulties or the hardship of life that you encounter. So again, in terms of the point of view, just like the first poem that we discussed, this used the first person point of view. And of course, we have readers, or this allows the readers to experience the world directly through the voice, feelings, as well as inner turmoil. And ano pang meron dito? So we also have the internal as well as external conflict. Can you read the content, Miss Erich? Miss Erich, kindly read this content. Ano yung present in terms of internal conflict? Miss Erich.
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Internal conflict. The boy struggles with grief, anger, and confusion as he tries to reconcile his dreams with the a horrifying reality of war. External conflict. The boys' desire for peace and play clashes with the violent, destructive environment created by war.
Okay, so of course, thank you for reading Miss Erich. So here again, we have the anger as well as the grief and confusion. And then in terms of external, so we have the desire for peace na kung saan pinagdamot nga ng environment because of the war. And we have here also the symbolism. Let me call you Mr. Dastas.
Dewdrops represent the fragility and briefness of life, especially of the young boys who died unnoticed. Fire still, symbols of violence and destruction brought by war. A classroom represents hope and the possibility of healing through education and stability.
Okay, so thank you for reading. Again, these are the symbolisms present in the poem that we discussed. So, of course, the classroom represents the hope because of education or way of learning. And then we have here the fire, which is about the violence and destruction. So, moving on to the moral lesson. So, here, the poem teaches that war Okay, so again, we have here the moral and lesson. So let me call you kindly read this content, Orvin. Okay, I think wala si Mr. Orvin. How about you, Ruel? Kindly read this one.
The poem teaches that war has far-reaching consequences beyond the battlefield, destroying childhood innocence and breaking the bonds of families and communities. It reminds readers of the importance of peace, compassion, and understanding, especially for the most vulnerable children. It also emphasizes that behind every act of misbehavior or rebellion lies a story of pain and longing that needs to be heard.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Ruel. So in terms of this one, I just want to emphasize the word or the words compassion and understanding. So of course, in the world that we live in, you must be um, you must be compassion or you must have compassion to someone, most especially to the persons or to the people that we encounter. Kasi sabi nga natin, hindi natin alam kung ano yung pinagdaraanan ng bawat isa or hindi natin alam kung ano yung daladala na problema ng bawat isa. Therefore, you must be compassionate, sabi nga. And of course, you need to be understanding as well. So, do you want to add in terms of the lessons that you gain, that you receive from this one? Anyone from the class? How about you, your own realization or sharing? Aside from being, aside from compassion as well as understanding. So none. Okay, so I also want to add this, medyo nagkaroon ako ng another thoughts. So of course, in the near future, you will be a mom as well as you will become a dad or magiging isang ina at isang tatay. Therefore, before you enter that kind of level in your life, you must think also of what will happen to your son or to your daughter. Okay? So, for example, you must choose the right person so that you will be able to give the life that your daughter and son deserve. Okay? So, wag maging selfish. Wag maging madamot. Isipin palagi kung anong mangyayari din sa inyong magiging anak in the near future. Did you get what I mean? Okay? So, thank you for those students who clicked the heart reaction. So now, let's move on to the last one. Since medyo tayo ay 6:15 na. So, here, I think I was not able to attach na dito yung content noong na-attach ko pala. Okay, so we have here Inside Submarines. So, here, this is the poem was written by Pan Yen Ho, or How. So, a contemporary Vietnamese poet known for his modern and experimental style. So, more on ang way of writing or stylistic style na niya is experimental. And then, he grew up in a post-war Vietnam and experienced firsthand the effects of political unrest and social change. And then he later immigrated to the United States where his poetry often explored themes of war, displacement, exile, and the struggles of modern Vietnamese identity. So in terms of this one, of course, as a writer or as an author, your way of writing might be influenced based on the location that you grew up or that you have. So just like here, itong si Pan Yen Hao, if I pronounce it again right, so of course, nagkaroon ng changes in terms of writing style na meron siya. So let's see, ano naman kayang meron in terms of the Inside Submarine. So ito ay medyo nagkaroon lang ng space, but this only consists of 2 stanza. Can someone again share the idea or his or her analysis in terms of the first stanza? In simple word, what does it mean? Or ano yung gusto niya lang iparating sa atin bilang isang reader? Anyone from the class? So this will be the last one that I am going to discuss, and then we will be having the presentation of your classmate. So ano daw meron in terms of this one? Anyone? If none, I am going to call names of your classmate. Sige. Yes, Mr. Joseph. Nakakatuwa naman si Mr. Joseph.
Ma'am, sa first stanza lang po na.
Okay, if you also want to share something from the second stanza, it's okay lang din.
Sige po. Dun po sa first stanza, dun po sa line na we live inside that odd-shaped submarines. Pwede din po natin siyang isipin na yung submarine po natin na yun is yung ating physical body po or yung ating buhay. Then yung chasing after secrets and the darkness of the oceans, yun po yung mga parang journey po natin sa ating mga sarili pang buhay. And as well as po dun sa on a voyage toward plastic horizons. Parang yun na din po yung mga nagiging path po natin towards po our journey. Then yung sa last two lines po sa first stanza, where vague connections can never be reached and hopes are not deployed. Ito po yung mga uncertainties po sa mga goals po natin sa buhay, kung makakamit po ba natin ito or masyado po ba siyang unreachable or masyado po ba tayong malaki mag-dream po sa isang bagay. Then po sa second stanza, before the storm arrives and the alarm command starts to rouse the last illusions to stand up and put light jackets on. So parang ini-imply po niya na we are making our journey po before something happens po na, or pwede rin naman po natin isipin na once we start our journey, darating at darating din po yung mga challenges po sa ating buhay na hindi in a way po na unexpected siya. Then yun po.
Okay, so yes, exactly. Good, Mr. Garcia. So medyo nakakatuwa naman si Mr. Garcia at into literature ata siya kasi mahilig ata siya magbasa. I remember last week also or last time during our discussion, isa din siya sa pinaka nakausap ko dun sa mga stories or short stories that we discuss. How about the others? Do you still want to add something in terms of this poem? So short lang siya. Ano kayong iba pa niyang ibig sabihin? Yes, Benj.
Ma'am, audible ka pa ako?
Yes, audible.
Para sa akin naman po, dun po sa unang stanza, parang sinasabi po dito nung Makata po na nabubuhay po tayo sa ating sariling submarine po. Minsan po nakakulong, minsan naglalakbay sa dilim. Naghahanap po ng direksyon at pag-asa. At kapag dumating naman po yung pagkakataon, napagtatanto po natin na kailangan po natin ng isa't isa para po makaligtas. Tapos, doon naman po sa pangalawang stanza naman po, ipinapakita naman po dito yung mga bagay sa buhay po natin na hindi po natin kayang kontrolin. Kapag pilit nating hinati o binago po natin yung mundo, maaari po nating masira ang balanse po nito. Tsaka, kaya mahalaga na matutong tanggapin po natin ang ating mga limitasyon at pahalagan kung nasaan po tayo ngayon. Yun lang po.
Okay, so yes, exactly. That is right. Benj, Mr. Briones. So next is we have Julius.
Ma'am, sa akin po sa first stanza po ay para pong ang mga tao po daw ay nangangarap po ng napakataas po. Yung parang po, yung kahit wala na pong pag-asa, parang pinupush pa rin po nila yung dream po nila. Tapos sa second po ay po, more sinasabi ko na ang reality po ay para pong delikado po, parang ganun po.
Okay, so yes, exactly. Thank you also, Julius, for that. So, Nan. Okay, I think Nan. So, in terms of this one, in the first stanza, I just want to add also to what the three students answered a while ago. So, we have here, of course, we live in our own small world or strange world. Kagaya nga daw nung sa submarine. And then, of course, we are also searching for hidden truths in dark as well as mga confusing places na kung saan ginamit naman yung term or yung idea ng ocean. And then, here, we're also trying to reach our goals. So, kahit tayo ay nakikita natin na tayo ay nasa madilim na corner, nasa darkness tayo, still, we are aiming na tayo makaalis on that place. So, of course, na-realize din dito, sabi dito, vague connections can never be reached and hopes are not deployed. So, in terms of this one, this only means that, yes, sometimes it is truly hard to connect with others. But again, we must try to connect. So, ano pa nga yung sabi dito sa second stanza? So, sabi dito, once I was at the equator trying to slice the earth in half along the dotted line, but someone held my hand and said, if you do that, friend, water will fall into the void and then our submarine won't have any place to dive. So, meaning to say, of course, sometimes na, di ba in reality or in our life, once na tayo nasa dark place or dark area rather, ng ating buhay, so as long as merong isang tao na nag-show up sa atin, as long as may isang tao na pinakita na merong nagmamahal sa atin, di ba kahit pa paano nakikita pa din natin yung brightest side. Right? Kumbaga, mas nagkakaroon pa din tayo ng hope. Okay? For example, in reality, kagaya nga ninyo, medyo may mga times na, lalo na sa mga grade conscious, na sobrang halaga nung mga points, nung mga scores, and then you receive those score. Still, meron tayo merong magpapaalala na it's okay, you have a friend, or same kayo ng friend mo, and then, of course, somehow, nagiging okay o mas nagiging better yung inyong pakiramdam. So, again, that is inside the submarine. Okay? So, anong meron dito? Sabi nga kanina ni, I think si pag hindi ako nagkakamali, ay si Bench. So sabi nga niya, nakakulong tayo or parang wala tayong hope, nawawalan tayo ng pag-asa. So, okay, so let's move on to the next slide kasi medyo ano na. Okay, so let's have the plot. So, ano sabi sa plot dito? Kindly read this, Miss Audrey. Miss Audrey, kindly read the content. Okay, I think wala si Miss Audrey. So let's have you, Miss Cassandra.
The speaker describes life inside mysterious submarines, journeying through the dark and vast ocean. The crew pursues unreachable secrets and fragile hopes while facing impending storms and dangers. Amid uncertainty, they cling to each other for survival. The closing image of trying to slice the earth in half suggests a longing for freedom or escape, but they are reminded of the consequences that their fragile world could collapse completely.
Okay, so thank you for reading, Miss Audrey. Cassandra rather. So again, that is the plot. So we already mentioned that in the first slide or in the previous slide. So we have here again the characters. So again, the speaker or the narrator. So hindi naman siya na-mention kung sino. So here represents individuals living through trauma, isolation, and uncertainty, or those people nga nasabi natin nakaka-experience ng mga dark phase ng kanilang buhay. So here we have the clue symbolizes communities who share collective struggles relying on one another for support. So we can use the term just like the sabi ko kanina, the friends that we have na kung saan we can get love as well as support from them. And then the submarine, almost like a character itself, embodying the enclosed, pressurized environment as well as the survival. And in terms of the setting, of course, it is inside a submarine, a confined and challenging environment, reflecting both emotional and physical pressures, deep under the ocean, emphasizing darkness, secrecy, as well as the pressure. And not only that, in terms of the team, so we have here four. So again, the isolation as well as survival. This only means that life inside the submarine parallels emotional and societal survival amid overwhelming challenges. So, diba, in reality, sometimes there are people na kung saan once they feel alone, mas nagkakaroon sila ng mga mental health or mas nagkakaroon ng depression, mas nalulungkot, kumbaga. And then second is we have unreachable dreams. So the plastic horizons symbolize hopes that seem artificial or impossible to reach. So those are our way of thinking kung saan nagkakaroon tayo ng negative thoughts even though we know in ourselves that we can do better. And then the third one is collective struggles. So this emphasizes the importance of unity and support when navigating darkness as well as danger. And then the last one is we have um, fragility of life or fragile and order. So we have here suggests how easily systems or relationship can collapse under pressure. So again, just like in real life, of course, we are human beings na kung saan we are not always 100% at all times. Therefore, meron tayong mga ganong moments in our life. And then here also, we use the first person point of view. And in terms of conflict, so we have under the internal conflict, so the speaker and crew, so of course they have fear, uncertainty, and then lack of hope. And then for external conflict, so we have here the face of storms and external forces that threaten their fragile world, much like the unpredictability of political as well as the social upheaval. Okay? So external conflict, just like yun sa mga natural disasters, kagaya yun sa mga storms. And what else in terms of the symbolism? Can you read this, Miss Meryl? Miss Meryl, kindly read.
Lahat po, ma'am.
Yes.
Symbolism, submarine, represents secrecy, isolation, and survival under immense pressure, both literal and psychological. Ocean symbolizes the vast unknown, danger, and the uncontrollable forces of life and history. Plastic horizons represent false or unreachable dreams created by modern society. Life jackets signify the fragile hope and preparation for inevitable disaster. Slicing the earth, a desire to escape limitations, but also a warning of chaos and destruction if balance is broken.
Okay, thank you for reading. So again, these are under the symbolisms that we have. So I'm not going to elaborate it more. So the last one is we have the moral lesson. So in terms of this one, the poem teaches that in a world full of darkness, secrets, and uncertainty, or not being sure, human connection and unity are essential for survival. Meaning to say, of course, sabi nga natin, no man is an island. Therefore, you must connect. You must build a harmonious relationship with other people. So, just like sabi nga natin kanina, be, for example, in terms of your friend, so you must be a good friend. You must be a good sibling. You must be a good co-workers in the near future. So here we have, it also reminds us of the fragility of life and society, urging careful navigation of challenges rather than reckless actions that could cause collapse. And then ultimately, it reflects the resilience of people facing collective struggles, whether in war, exile, or modern societal pressure. So again, that is under the Inside Submarine. Do you have questions so far? Questions so far? Any questions or thoughts that you want to share or any realizations that you want to add? Okay, so I saw some thumbs down and heart reactions in my screen. So if you do not have any question, I am now going to stop presenting. So in my screen,